So we spoke about God's will and God's grace, and spoke about if you don't follow God's will, this is for clarity, or if you go into God's allowing. If you take God's allowing, then you might fall, or you might get attacked, whatever. I mean, whichever way. If you're not within the will, you might see the repercussions. Is that the right understanding that what we spoke in the first half?
There is no right answer to what you are asking, but I can share from my life experience that mostly I am following God's will except when it comes to seeing Netflix. Then I try to stretch it to God's allowing.
So the reason I and again for clarity, that when I am in God's allowing means God बोल रहा है वो मत कर भाई तू, वो तेरे लिए नहीं है और फिर भी वो कर रहा हूँ.
मत करो ऐसा तो नहीं बोलते.
There would be somewhere I would fall if I, meaning is that again understanding?
It's just like ठीक है करना करो. It's like that.
Sir, I'm saying from will to an allowing. Will में तो ये clear है ये करना है. बाकी सब allowing है. और वो allowing में हो सकता है कि there is some pitfalls.
अगर God बोले मत करो तो it's best not to do. अगर बोलते हैं करो तो देख लेना will है allowing है. ज्यादातर तो allowing ही होता है. will बहुत कम होता है because God बोलते हैं स्टोरी लाइन में मैं क्या मेरा will बोलूंगा. And knowing the nature of the body mind character which is seeking either comfort or pleasure, तो God is like ठीक है इनको भी deny करके क्या करेंगे, कर लें तो जो करते हैं. So God comes from these two places, but what I was sharing was a little different. So when I followed God's will, apparently it seemed for a long time that I was making a wrong decision. It seemed that probably if I would have followed my will, my life would have been better. But when I look back after a period of, let's say, 8 to 10 years, now I can say that yes, following God's will is the best thing that I did. Did following God's will give me any kind of materialistic success or any kind of improve my family life or improve my financial condition? I don't think that happened. Reverse might have happened, but definitely the plus thing did not happen. But if I look into the whole experience of my life in terms of knowing God closely, in terms of knowing who are not God also closely, this rich experience of life would not have been available to me if I would have followed my own will.
Wow.
So, when a body mind asks that should I follow the will of God, and if God says don't follow this, then the body mind feels that why is God depriving me of this or depriving me of that? Over a period of time, you will find that it was good to follow the will of God, even though it did not give you enough materialistically, socially, or financially. But this you will come to know after a period of 5 to 7 years. In the immediate, sometimes it looks, I wish I would have followed my will, or at the most I just remained in the allowing of God. But then I cannot tell people authentically that you should follow the will of God, because this is a choice everyone has to make on their own. And I cannot even tell them that if you follow the will of God, you will actually say thank you to yourself that you followed the will of God. So when you ask about will of God and allowing of God, well, God allows because many times God knows that the human will find it difficult to follow my will 100%. The human will find that there are other people or forces which are kind of creating all kind of hardship for the human. So up to a point God says follow my will. Beyond that God says okay, do whatever you want to do, which is allowing. And then there are certain areas God says don't do, which means really don't do. It is not even in the allowing.
So, sir, my experience, at least in wherever you confirmed I've followed God's will, I have found, and that I know now when I look back, that God has always taken care. Always. Even ऐसा लगता है कि कुछ हो रहा है या
God always takes care, but many a times in the short run, it may seem to be not so. Okay.
And also this question of following God's will, it's like I think you have often said that, the fifth directive, it used to be in the earlier days, is something that emerges rather than it should be done, because that itself can create suffering if it is like, now I will only follow the will, because that becomes like a thing. So that is a subtle understanding, and I'm just checking with you if that is true.
Can you again say? Because I was waiting for a question after you will ask, but it was a statement, and then you are saying if it will be true. And the statement is like that there is God's will and there is God's allowing. And if we become righteous about the will of the God, and then what?
So that itself, if it's almost like the mind saying I must follow God's will.
Yeah.
And then it's not, because the allowing is gently moving you, towards the will should you choose it. That's where the whole choice that God is offering comes. So that it's more like a rising of following more and more. The fifth directive, which you used to say earlier, is a happening out of the choice, multiple choices, rather than...
Okay, I will put it this way, that the human mind is a very cunning mind. And in this cunningness, the mind is like, how much can I extract out of God's allowing, rather than going into the uncomfortable zone of God's will. So this cunningness, as I was saying, it is my cunningness to see the Netflix when I know clearly that it is not the will of God. So many a times we use this cunningness, and also it also is like this, that we do not have the courage and the strength to follow the will of God, because we cannot face the criticism of our community, family and friends. And then we are like, okay, itna to God karne do.
Yeah.
So then when God sees these things, God then says, ठीक है, जो करना है करो. So one is a cunningness, the other one is lack of strength.
बेचारे हैं.
Yeah, both are there. But हमारा जो lack of strength है ना, it is playing the victim card.
Yeah, that is. So
which also is a cunningness.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean.
So I wouldn't really tell anyone what they should do. It is everyone will decide on their own.
Yeah. Also, one thing I want to share, which is different, is that I have seen that, now God has given, there's the mantra, there is the book. Don't read the book, just talk to the book. There is the card, and initially I used to want to give the book. But now I'm looking when I talk to people, what is the simplest, easiest way to give what that person wants, if he wants or she wants, as the experience of God? So some people are more, like take a mantra le lenge. Some may say card. Some may be interested in book. And I like that thing that you said, कि आप मुझे वापस दे दो, अगर नहीं काम करता है. So I find that very useful rather than, going with कि अभी सबको book देना है या सबको card देना है, because God seems to have provided, these multiple pathways depending on what is convenient for the human who we are introducing to God. This has been my kind of.
Yeah, so we do not want to impose this thing on us, not like I am imposing on you.
Yeah.
You also do not impose on yourself that you have to do this work of giving the book to every person whom you know.
Exactly.
Or giving the card to them. Wait for that instruction to emerge. And it will emerge when it emerges. And you will know when you know. कि उसको देते हैं. And it is always like, if you feel this person might not be open to the book, best is give them the card. बात करके देख लो. And so our job basically is not really to increase the book circulation.
No.
It is about really taking God to people. And if we can do it with a card, why a book? If we can do it with a mantra, why the book? But yes, the book finally reinforces with a clarity.
Yeah.
But let that come the last. And of course, with the book will come the protocols. That is a different conversation.
Yeah.
But let them talk, have a God experience. And card is enough for that. And then the mantra.
And I want to share one specific thing, that कभी-कभी वो clarity आ जाता है, and then I check with God and God says yes, go for it. And एक बार ऐसे हुआ that some friends invited me, I went there, and somehow that moment did not come. Okay, and I wonder if it was my own fears, my own kind of hesitation कि यार वो right moment होना चाहिए, ऐसा होना चाहिए. So those kind of things also happen, and therefore वो कभी-कभी opportunity निकल भी जाता है to give the book.
I would rather you enjoy fully being with your friends and listening, as you used to say, because you have that listening conversation with people.
Yeah.
So I like that thing.
Yeah.
And in that listening conversation, do they really need it?
Yeah.
Because maybe they don't need it.
Right.
And when I say they don't need it, I don't mean they don't have suffering and pain, but at this point of time, they are not in acknowledgement of that. Yeah. And when people are not in acknowledgement of that, we don't need to thrust the card on them.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody was telling me, I think, who gave the cards to the rickshawalas?
Hindu.
No, Hindu. She gave it, right, Sindhu. So, these kind of people, they readily accept.
Yes.
Well-read people, the first thing is their whole mechanism starts going overworking. What kind of book is it? Religious, spiritual, why a new God, and why the face of a man? And there is 100 questions.
Yeah.
So in those cases, there is no right way to really take the message of God to people, and maybe we just take God to people and not the message which is through the book. Taking God to people is just the card, and little more open than the mantra, and still more open than the book.
One of my question is what is a better way to go ahead? Do we introduce God, not God, do we share about God or God's work as a form of, as a healing modality, or do we just share and ask them to talk with the God?
There is no right way, there is no better way.
Yes.
Every time God will guide you which one will work.
Yes.
Sometimes just giving the healing card is enough.
Yes.
Sometimes inviting them to take the mantra might be better. Sometimes giving the book and telling them just you can talk to the book.
Yes.
Sometimes taking them to the last chapter and telling you will be able to do all these things, but just mechanically go through the book.
Jesus, that's
So now all this approach, which one is the best? There is no such
Yes.
thing.
it happens at the moment. for me.
Exactly, in that moment, and trust that you will be guided.
Yes, sir. But sometimes I fall into the trap of if I'm being cunning, if I'm trying to be pushy towards them in order them to accept the book. So I mean that thoughts appear, but I generally follow with the
Every person will come to know when they are pushing. Like I cannot tell you when you are pushing. You will be able to notice, because when you will push, there will be a repercussion. That means you have pushed, as Kiran was saying. So wait to see that when that opening comes and you are able to give the card or the book or the mantra.
So one more thing, just wanted to check if I'm right in this way of speaking. So when I share about God, so when people ask what exactly does the mantra do, what it is about, I generally say ki, it connects us to Supreme God directly, and it dissipates and dissolves our karmic baggage. And overall, as a general well-being, it takes care of us in the form, it gives us some ease and peace. And when what happens when we speak to the card, I say ki, we can speak about our specific issues. That's what is taken care by God. And what does this healing statements do to us? I say that it takes care of the source of all our pain and suffering. So is it correctly, do I say, or just is there something?
Again, I will tell you, there is nothing correct.
True.
Yet, in the moment, you can give them a little bit of intellectual things, because that satisfies their mind.
Yes.
And then the main thing that happens is they do it actually.
Yes.
Because with God, it is about doing it. Either you are talking to the book, which is doing, or you are doing the mantra, which is doing, or you are doing the protocol, which is doing. So one of the three or more of the three you have to do.
Jesus.
Okay?
There's no
So,
none of the ways is better than
but the mind will say, okay, if I do, then what happens? Actually speaking, we have no idea what happens. But you can give them something. When you do it, God will connect with you. God will take care of you. God will discharge your karmic baggage. God will bring some ease and peace. So, something we are feeding to their intellectual mind. But the truth is, we do not know really. But they don't want that answer that you do not know. They are like, if you are introducing, you must know. So we also give them something. Okay?
Thank you. Sharing our own, like, क्या हमको क्या फायदा हुआ है, वो भी बहुत काम करता है.
Many a times God says, don't do it. Why? Because it might be brilliant with you. I mean, you might have mega breakthroughs. It enhances their expectations, and in a particular direction they want it now, which is what you shared.
So that is challenging actually, because this reality is asking for testimonies. They are asking for ki kya hua, and we are nowhere claiming.
Nowhere
anything.
claiming, because God says नहीं देने का, क्योंकि मैं उस हिसाब से नहीं करने वाला.
तो वही challenge for humans आता है कि इसको आगे अब ऐसे कैसे जाएंगे. So that's been one of the biggest challenges.
Okay.
And so one clarification very important. These new readers who have read the book and they're doing releasing through the book, when they're doing it for the others also using the protocol, do they need to do the mantra? If they haven't taken the mantra, they've only read the book and using the protocol for releasing for other people, their clients, whatever, is it necessary that
It is not necessary, but it's better if they take the mantra.
okay, so then
Because the mantra has its own importance. So, and it is only a matter of investing 2 minutes a day.
so
So,
I'll give it. I was talking with the same person, the life.
yeah. So just give the mantra.
Okay. Okay. Second one is I forgot. Most of the time I forget things.
You know, when you forget, you can make a humor out of it, or you can go become more nervous. It is a choice. I remember that I was once invited by NM to speak in front of a group of people in his college, and when I stood there, I didn't know what to speak. And then I started with, I have no idea what I should speak to you. And then I kept doing that, and within few minutes the flow started. Now I could have shut myself down. I could have felt that all these people would judge me in a big way. But instead I made it humorous. Humorous in the sense, these are my shortcomings. These are my kind of blocks. And when you embrace your shortcomings, when you embrace your blocks, something beautiful happens. I once wanted to become an orator by imitating all the great orators. And I found that I am messing it up. So that desire to excel in speaking, that desire to excel in impressing the people, that desire to excel in creating a rapport with the group, that itself I threw away. How threw away means releasing, I kept on doing. That's how I threw away. And I am like, I will not have any rapport with the group. I will not impress the group. I'm going to stand there and let them judge whatever they want to judge. Why I am going there? In order that I really forward them with whatever little that I have. That much became very clear in my mind. And slowly I started relaxing. And when you relax, it doesn't matter whether you speak in a brilliant way. It doesn't matter whether you act very charismatic. It doesn't matter whether you are very intellectual. Because humans ultimately value the most simple things in life. And the most simple things in life is that I can be vulnerable and yet stand in front of you. And it is okay to be vulnerable. It is okay that I have forgotten. It is okay that I don't remember. It is okay that I am making mistakes. But I am committed that at the end of a certain amount of time, I will give you something that you might find beneficial. So, this is the way I started approaching. The game was no more about impressing people. The game was about how much relaxed I am in front of people. And I am only checking that. Am I tight or am I relaxed? If I am tight, I am releasing. And I am reminding myself, it's okay to make mistakes. It is okay that if they do not approve of me. It is okay if they judge me. 3 things. And as I started relaxing more, and more and more. I started flowing. And then it is not about what I say. What is important is what I have said came in a flow or came from a place of cunningness. That cunningness means that I have prepared well, I have memorized well, I have structured that whole conversation in a very persuasive way, and I have brilliantly delivered in order that they will applaud me. That is cunningness. That's not flow. There was a huge amount of preparation that went for me to deliver. Flow means I have digested the matter and I am recreating it in a very simple way. And when you are relaxed, you will find your conversations are very simple. When you are tight, you will find your conversations may be very brilliant because you are quoting this and that. But in the end, people may be impressed, but people will not be touched. There's a difference between the two. They will say you are a great speaker, but they will not be touched by you. But when you touch people, you don't touch it with your intellect and you don't touch it with your brilliance.
Then what is that? That touches.
Touching means they feel that you care about them.
But being authentic.
Authentic comes, but it is basically about that you care. And it may be just like you're going to take an interview. And in that interview, if you care, you will be so respectful towards that person. I've seen most interviewers, they are so aggressive, attacking. And they put that person on the defensive. And they are almost like breaking a wall in order that they find one loose top which they will make it a highlight and that will become the headline. But when you really care, you will find out what they truly are going through. And they will eventually give you more info, more material because they want to talk with you.
Sir, with respect to that forgetting the question, सर ये स्पेशली मैंने आपके साथ इंटरेक्शन करते हुए ये एक्सपीरियंस किया कि many times I come up with I have a lot of questions to ask you, but when I start to speak with you, एकदम से it's not that I forget the question, but the question starts to drop. तो वो एक nuance है कि मतलब वो it's not a forgetting, but वो somehow एकदम से वो drop होने लग जाते हैं, and then I don't feel like.
Many times when you are with God or the energies of God, suddenly mind finds that the questions are no more important. These are the things which I have also experienced and it's perfectly okay. इसीलिए लोग बोलते हैं आपके पास आके हम सब भूल जाते हैं. Actually आप भूल नहीं जाते हो, मगर अभी वो questions important नहीं लगता है. So that is what is happening.
Sir, you are right. Sir, ongoing discussions about how the card has to be given, what happens, pushback from other people and all that. I'm getting a thought about this, that see the crux of the matter is what is the ultimate intention here. God has to connect with people. तो आप दे दो, उसके बाद जो होना है, even for a minute the person is holding the card or just seeing it, God का काम हो जाएगा.
Exactly.
उसके बाद don't even bother. Are they throwing it back at you? Are they doing it for 30 days? Are they not even doing it? कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. God का काम करने के लिए हम इधर हैं. तो उसके लिए जो don't use your brain here. Just do it and just leave it there.
Nice. Beautiful.
Sir, can I share
So,
a testimony here?
Meeta,
हेलो
जो मेरे अंदर से नहीं आया वो गॉड ने उसके अंदर से बुलवा दिया.
क्या बात है.
सब स्टोरी लाइन गॉड की विल फॉलो करते हैं तो हमारी तो चेंज होती है बिकॉज वी आर इन गॉड्स वर्क. बट अगर जिसको ब्लॉक किया है सर उनकी स्टोरी लाइन पे भी तो असर पड़ता होगा.
पड़ता है ना.
सर वो कैसे
फिर उनको क्या होगा अगेन. ये सब चीजें बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स है क्योंकि जैसे इन्होंने पूछा इसके ऊपर से आपका एक और क्वेश्चन आया, उसका भी अगर गॉड जवाब देंगे वहां से एक और क्वेश्चन आ जाएगा. एंड अल्टीमेटली इट इज सो कॉम्प्लेक्स कि कोई एंड नहीं है. फिर पता चलेगा कि ऑलमोस्ट लाइक 200 लोगों का स्टोरी लाइन चेंज हो गया एक को चेंज करते करते.
So that was my question कि हमारा तो चेंज हुआ है बट उन लोग का भी चेंज हो जाएगा.
एग्जैक्टली. इसीलिए गॉड जल्दी नहीं करते लेकिन कभी कभी करते हैं तो उसका बहुत बड़ा इम्पैक्ट होता है.
Yes, exactly.
So there is two parts to it. One is where there is on and off in conscious way about between God and mind. Then
Wise
she
नहीं
is
चल रहा है.
afraid that there is illness that will arise if she goes on and off continuously like this. Is it true?
Let me tell you about illness. People assume that illness arises because of the mind. People assume illness arises because of germs. People assume illness arises because our body has low immunity. People assume illness arises because of some kind of poisoning like food poisoning or poisoning because of some cut. While these things may be true from a medical point of view, but actually illness arises because of the storyline. You will not fall ill unless it is in the storyline. And if it is in the storyline, no matter how much you take care of your health, that illness will happen. Now people will say, if that is so, why should we take care of your health? The reason you should take care of your health is because if you don't take care of your health when the illness was meant to happen, is later. Before that also you are going to suffer physically. If you take care of your health to that extent, you will have less suffering in your life. This is one part. Second part, what creates your illness is spirit, guided by the storyline. So what creates your illness is spirit and guardian angels. Now this question says that if I have this conflict between what is that mind and God, God and mind. Well, you will have it because it is created by your mind. God is not going to create it. And if your spirit has decided to make you suffer, then mind will act like that. Then he asked about making decisions. It is not possible to make the right decisions because all your decisions are made by the spirit, through the mind, through the memories, through the storyline. So nowhere you are there. Then a question will come in your mind is, then how do I live? If nothing is in my hand, how do I live? The answer to that is, live as if everything is in your hand. Even after you got the highest understanding, do not let that inhibit you. do not let that make you think nothing is in your hand. Because the hypnosis is everything is in my hand. So let me use that. And when I fail, I will then accept that nothing is in my hand. Till I have not failed, it is in my hand. So maybe I have not answered to that person, but I have given you certain understanding about what is in your hand, with what attitude you should look into it, and what creates disease. And yet, you have to take care of yourself.
There was no effort put there.
So this is what happens with God is storyline gets executed, but the struggle is removed, the conflicts, the non-congruency, the that feeling of anxiety and worry, those things all get removed.
And it's a question आ रहा है, a healthy body, can it release issues, whatever it is holding, easily?
A healthy body, whether it can release,
Whatever it's holding, can it release things faster than an unhealthy body?
it is not like that. It is what God wills. And I truly do not know why some people say that our releasing was so beautiful. And some people say I've been struggling with it for such a long time. Whether it is that we have got the wrong phrase, whether it is that we are not able to connect, whether it is that we don't want to be healed, whether it is that there is too much of attacks happening on me and they are relentless. And maybe there could be many more reasons that I am not aware of. So, most of the time I am just like listening to you all, and I am allowing everyone to speak so that each one listens to someone else and maybe gets some insight rather than me always giving the insight. I am not the one who would always be able to give.
Regarding God's book, what I was sharing, is it like if we write our problems down and keep it in God's book, God's energy flows there and solve the problem? Or
Don't try to understand, just do it and see what you get. Okay? Don't try to understand, just do it and see if it helps or not. Okay?
Sir,
Okay.
God and the science. So बीच में एक लिंक किधर कुछ तो है सर.
क्या God and
Science.
साइंस, गॉड और साइंस के बीच में लिंक
हाँ.
कैसा लिंक?
कुछ तो एक बीच में गुम हो गया ऐसा लगता है. दोनों का कनेक्शन है. बट वो कनेक्शन अपन को
साइंस जो है ये तो पूरा किंग का है, गॉड का नहीं है. गॉड के डोमेन में कोई साइंस नहीं है. और साइंस बेसिकली एक डिसेप्शन है, जिसको हम टेक्नोलॉजी बोलते हैं. दैट इज अ डिसेप्शन. ये हमें बहका रहा है, हमें बहुत सारे खिलौने दे रहा है, खेल लो. और ऐसा it is kind of giving us the impression that we are evolving, giving us the impression that we are now more intelligent, giving us the impression that we are becoming advanced humans, giving us the impression that as a human we are evolving. But it's not true. So, God के साथ साइंस का कोई लेना देना नहीं है. It is purely coming from the matrix and purely actually मैं मेरे बुक में 3 डिसेप्शन की बात करता हूँ. साइंस इज द 4th डिसेप्शन, बिकॉज साइंस सेज गिव मी प्रूफ एंड नो वन कैन एवर गिव यू प्रूफ ऑफ गॉड. So every person with a scientific mind, scientific rationality, they will say there is no God. So that was one of the way the king ensured that these people who are very intelligent, very scientific minded will not want to come to God. So science is actually pushing people away from God. So हाँ
अलग-अलग chapters.
अलग अलग
सर आप बोल रहे थे नहीं राजलक्ष्मी बोल रहे थे ना कि रिलीज करते हैं अप्स एंड डाउन्स होता है लेकिन आपने बुक प्रोटोकॉल में बोला है ना कि वो लिख दो 30 दिन देखो बोलो क्या फर्क आता है 101% आइदर उसका ड्रॉप हो जाएगा आइदर उसमें फर्क आएगा वो होता ही है
यानी एक कागज में वो लिख दे सिम्टम्स एंड देन कीप इट इन द बुक फॉर 30
नहीं पहले बोलने
पहले बोलने का मे आई हैव योर ग्रेस गॉड
वो बोल देने इवन पढ़ लेने तभी चलता है पढ़ लेते सपोज मेरा पाइल्स था तो मैंने पढ़ लिया तो विद इन 10 days में चला विदाउट एनी मेडिकेशन तो ऐसा होता है लेकिन बुक को बोलना पड़ता है तो नहीं बोला बुक को बोलो टॉक टू द बुक ऐसे कर बोल देते तो कुछ प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो जाता है
Sometimes I'm unable to find the exact words to articulate the issue that is giving me pain, suffering because of the extreme emotional state that I am in or because of my attachment to the person or the issue. What do I do when I am at loss of words?
Articulate to the best extent that you can. And everyone knows exactly what they are going through. They do not know why they are going through. But what they are going through, they always know. Because what they are going through is either some pain or some psychological issue like anxiety, worry. Or some kind of negativity like there is a huge anger or some kind of depression. So no one can say, I don't know what I am going through. What they do not know is why they are going through. And they don't have to use medical language. They don't need to get a pathological diagnosis done. It's just that I am feeling weak, I am feeling dejected, I am feeling low, I am feeling having no energy. These are normal things and these are the symptoms. Write it down and then say to each line, may I have your grace, God.
So when there are too many thoughts going on in that kind of state, also just looking at your picture, it helps clean up and come to a point where you can articulate.
Okay, if you are overwhelmed by the thoughts, then that is what you say, that I am overwhelmed with too many thoughts. May I have your grace, God.
Can I say that? Can I? So adding on to what Shivani said, many times when I am not able to express, I just, whatever I have, if I have the book or the card, I just hold on to my chest. And
you get...
I get relief within moments. Like if I'm not getting sleep, if thoughts are going on, I just hold on to the book. And within moments, I start snoring. So,
the sirf photo hai, that will be the most effective. Is that what it is?
Yeah, the DP photo.
Oh. And then usse kam hai digital card or usse kam hai physical card.
Yeah. Physical card, the downside is it will keep on deteriorating.
Oh, really?
कैसे
I didn't know that.
Physical card ka downside is it will keep on deteriorating. Initially the amount of, because it will be mishandled, it will be taken into a lot of places, lot of negativity. Then unless you are able to clean the card and you know how to clean the card, so
Sorry, but the question is, what is the difference between, you said the DP photo is the best, then the digital card and then the physical card. So what is the difference between the
digital card and physical card?
DP photo and digital card?
The DP photo, that photo is very special. Because God has not allowed any other photo to be there.
So, but that same picture is only on the...
I know. Still that. The original.
Sir, my family, they are not willing to receive the book or as in my immediate family, husband and son, or even take the healing card. So in this case, can I use the statement that they are not able to connect with God? May they have your grace, God?
God is saying that would be controlling them, so don't do that. On their own, they have to come if they want to come.
Sir, so in this case, if I'm talking to God,
in this case, first you have to release on you are not okay with them not choosing God. Somewhere you want them to choose God, so release on that wanting.
Okay.
I'm wanting them to choose God.
So in this case,
I'm just coming.
So in this case, if as a mother, when I see certain things about my son, I should not release on his mannerisms or behavior.
You do not release on anyone's behavior or mannerisms because that is a part of their nature. You release on the pain that you get because of the way they behave.
As in, God है, but उसके बाद थोड़ा सा
God तो है, there is no doubt about it, and God is taking care. There is also no doubt about it. But as a human, we were meant to suffer. As a human, we were meant to go through all kind of miseries. And God says, release. And then let God take over. Okay. So I'll now bring this to a close. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you so much. May